Drivers, start your engine!
Let's start him. 3, 2, 1, 3. Line up back. All clear. Come back to 1247 with him.
Short track racing is the grassroots, not just of NASCAR, but of all motorsports in general. It's basically the equivalent of what I'd call high school, where everyone, is kind of just dipping their toes into racing. Sometimes people have been doing it for years. It's a great place to spend weekends. It's kind of a big family atmosphere. And it's a place where you can allow your fascination, curiosity, whatever it may be, of racing to grow. It's where you can figure out if you want to be a race car driver, if you want to be a race fan, or if this is just something you enjoy doing.
For me, it all started when I was about 5 years old. I went to a NASCAR race, a Cup Series race at Richmond when I was 5, and really from that moment on, I remember going up in the stands for the first time, and when the cars came by, I remember just as a kid, I could smell the tires and the fuel, and that was instant sugar in my veins for racing. It just, all I wanted to do was race from that point on. I enjoyed the speed of it. It went all the way to me going out there and meeting up with friends in the play yard, and we would have foot races, and then we would have bicycle races, and it was always racing. We would always race to do everything.
It's a small group of family, if you will, where it's not family, but there's really a small network of car owners and crew members and drivers. To be a part of that was just something that, in my mind, was awesome. And to be able to have the respect, you got to give it 100%. You got to be driven to do well on the racetrack and do people right. You always treat everybody the way you want to be treated, and I thought you could do the same on the track as you can off the track.
I think short track's biggest piece they've added to the sport is helping grow NASCAR fans. It's the place where you can thrive and experience racing while the Cup Series isn't in town. It's also a place where family is really important. I think back to my days where I still race at Langley Speedway, and when I go there on Saturdays, I see my racing family. I see folks that I've known for 15 years. I've seen kids grow up there.
To me, it's the racetracks that really have to do the grassroots campaigning within their hometown to get people to bring their families out, because race fans, most of them don't start when they're in their 30s or 40s. They start, just like me, getting the bug when they're a kid. And so how do you get the kids out there? You almost got to let them in for free and let them enjoy their time. They get to see a little racing, whatever. But to me, if I ran a racetrack, it would be more, of an event than just a race. It had to be family friendly, playgrounds everywhere to let the kids enjoy themselves, and and get to see some racing on the side.
A lot of the big things I've seen with short tracks, especially over the past 10 or 15 years, is staying relevant. A lot of times short tracks tend to get stuck in their ways because for a while, all they needed to do was open the gates, the racers came in, the fans came in, and they would be successful. But in today's market, just with all sports, it's a lot more competitive. You have to be a lot more creative with ways to bring fans in. Some tracks sometimes are stuck as much as, they don't want to have a Facebook page. They don't want to be on Twitter. They don't want to do hardly anything on the internet.
It just comes down to promotion. If I was running a race, I would go to them and try to work out something with them to get their employees to come to races, even if that means giving them some tickets or giving them some promotional incentives to get involved, because you never know, once a family or an individual goes to a racetrack, they could turn into a race fan.
Short tracks back in the day were They're honestly very rough facilities. Kind of, sketchy kind of grandstands, a lot of more dirt, questionable safety. A lot of them had, arm co-barriers for, rails kind of to keep the cars in the track. Some didn't have any barriers at all. And the biggest thing I would say, the difference between then versus now is one, safety. A lot of tracks have now concrete walls, they're paved. Grandstands, the amenities for the fans are a lot better these days. And then another tracks have embraced technology.
The short track racing is, a little bit different, but a lot of ways it's very similar to what it was. And for me, it was, really, 15, 20 years ago when I was racing in the local, short track market. Racing has gone through tough times over the last 10 to 15 years with the market collapse in 2009. So that really changed things, I think, more than anything as far as racing is concerned. Sponsors, it made it tougher for families to be able to, feel free buying their kids these race cars and go-karts and whatnot. People became just a little bit more conservative when it came to that. But really, for me, it's a feeder system not only for the race car drivers, but it's a feeder system for the mechanics. I remember really a lot of the mechanics that I was, underneath the cars working and changing the transmissions with, they're crew chiefing Xfinity cars, and they're crew chiefing Cup cars now. So it's, they learned and they cut their teeth through the same thing that we did. Maybe not on the racetrack, but working in the shop.
As racing goes through the years, short tracks will evolve just like the sport has evolved. They'll look a lot different, but tradition tells me we'll still have the same short tracks around. Hopefully they have kept up with the times. If they have a bad, old rickety concession stand, I hope, in 10, 15 years they've built a new one that can help serve more race fans during a race night. I hope, if they have bad grandstands, they've built new grandstands safer. They've made it more fan-friendly, ADA-friendly, more appealing to the common fan, not so much the die-hard fan.
I just think, really encourage the people in their hometown to support local short track racing because, my parents always said that, why they really endorsed me getting into racing is because it probably kept me from doing other bad hobbies. They knew that I was in the garage working on my go-kart or car instead of out hanging out doing bad things with friends. So for me, it was a sense of a thing that we got to do as a family, kept us closer. And I think that a lot of families that participate in racing feel like it's a family, and that's why they go out there and do it each week.